I call myself an unlikely crusader for the power of touch because for most of my life, I would be what you might term touch averse. I did not like people touching me. I liked my personal space. I have two sisters who love to brush each other's hair and give each other back rubs. And I was always the sister sitting in my bedroom reading a book. Um, so when I started learning about essential oils and I learned about this technique, I was like, that sounds really good for people who do massage and like those touchy things. But I went because at the time I was starting to want to help other people learn about oils because of the way that they had impacted my life and family. So I went and I took the training, and it was awkward, and I was like, okay, now I know how to do it. I tried it out on two people when I got home, and then I promptly just set it aside. I'm like, okay, that's for those other people. But I really loved the science of what we were taught in that Aromatouch training about how the oils and this type of touch could really help somebody come into this sense of homeostasis. And that stuck with me. A couple years later, it was literally a few years later, I was on a retreat and my roommate had had some food issues. She was doubled over in pain. She looked like she was 5 months pregnant. She said, "Oh, this happens when I get, my food allergy thing." And we used the regular oils you'd use, like Digest Zen, and it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to, she said, "I'll be up all night." And I was just like, oh, I just felt so bad for her. And I thought, what could I do? And I remembered the Aromatouch. All I remembered was the order of the oils on the back, because the science of why those oils made sense. So it stuck with me. So she couldn't even lay down because she was in so much pain. So she was like in the fetal position, kind of curled up in child's pose. And I was just putting the oils up over her back. And about halfway through, she had relaxed enough that she could lay down on this sofa in this little place we were staying. And by the end, she was snoring, and she slept the rest of the night. And when she got up in the morning, she said, "That never happens." And a light bulb just went off in me, like, wow, these oils that I'm going to share with you and this technique were not designed to specifically address food allergies. So it was just to support the body so that it could manage life the way it needed to. And do the work it needed to get back into balance. So the first thing I want to share with you guys is that you don't have to be an oil expert to do this. You don't even have to do it right. All you have to do is use your hands and for some touch and some oils, and it makes a difference. And I hope that by the end of our time together, you find yourself really inspired and full of just the desire and the empowerment and confidence to take whatever oils you have, as long as they're good quality, and to apply them in different ways to people you love and to yourself to make a difference. So let's go on with that. Okay. I called this supporting resiliency and wellness, the power of essential oils and touch, because dear God, we need some help with resiliency right now. Being resilient in my mind is being able to stretch and come back into shape, and to roll with the punches, and to live in uncertainty and adapt and pivot and pick yourself up and be creative and resourceful. And to do that, we have to be out of fight or flight. We have to be able to be calm and present, alert and not sedated, because sometimes I just want to pull out my bottle of wine and sedate myself a bit. We need to be alert, but also calm. And that's this balance that we can lose when we're under chronic stress. And I would say 2020 has been the poster child for chronic stress for pretty much everybody. And so I really want to bring this gift to you, this encouragement to you, that it is within your power right now, today, to feel better, to connect with the people you love, and to help them feel better without needing to know a whole lot more. So, the need is great. I don't think I have to spend too much time there. I just wanted to note that this morning our county just issued a new health advisory for increased suicide risk that they're already seeing. And one thing as I was reading that was that they were saying that when you've been under chronic stress like we have for the past 6 months in this crisis mode, when you get to that 6-month mark, people begin to lose their resiliency, their ability to just keep going. And as we head into the winter, that's going to up the challenges in a lot of ways. And so we need tools and resources that we can use right now that are not complicated to learn and not hard, that don't cost a lot of money, and that we can do in just a few moments. And so that's what we're going to talk about. I love this quote from Michelangelo: "To touch is to give life." Just sit with that for a moment and take your hands and touch yourself. Maybe hold your face as if your face was a little child that you were just encupping in your hands. Maybe put your hands over your heart and feel your heartbeat and feel your hands supporting you. Maybe just give a gentle squeeze to your shoulders, like it's okay, you can relax just a little. And if your feet are bare like mine, and you can sit cross-legged or get one foot up over, just hold your foot in your hand and give it a gentle massage for a moment. 30 seconds. And I feel different from just touching my own body in a loving, gentle way. I want to share with you a little bit of the science and research on the power of touch, just in brief. It's so super powerful. From kangaroo babies, like preemie babies, put on skin-to-skin contact in all the ways that they grow more than babies that are not given that skin-to-skin contact. A couple of things to note: that in the research, the power of touch releases endorphins in the body's natural painkillers. Quick story, I had a migraine a couple weeks back that I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital, and I woke my husband up and I just listened to what my body needed. He's like, "What can I do?" And I said, "Just put your hands between my shoulder blades and just hold them there." And within 5-10 minutes, that migraine was starting to subside enough that I could actually lay down and rest. The power of touch is really, really wonderful. Okay, here's some more fun facts about it. According to the research by neuroscientist Edmund Rolls, it activates the brain's orbitofrontal cortex. That's the part of the brain that's linked to feelings of reward and compassion, right? Touch actually helps us activate the parts of our brain that feel compassion for others and feel compassion for ourselves. It builds cooperative relationships, groups that actually have high fives and shoulder pats and touch. It signals safety and trust. It soothes. It calms cardiovascular stress. It activates the vagus nerve, taking us again out of that fight or flight, and it releases oxytocin, the love hormone in our brains and in our bodies. Jim Cohen and Richard Davidson did this brain scan study, and they put people in the MRI thing, and they were gonna hear this really loud, yucky noise, much like the movie my family's watching downstairs right now. And that activated in their brain the regions associated with threat and stress. They just lit up like alarms. But when a loved one was with that person and they were in that MRI thing and they just gently, rubbed the person's hand and arm in a very soothing way, it actually switched off the threat alarm and they didn't have that kind of reaction in their brain. Powerful thing that we can do just by gently touching someone who's in an upset state. Basketball players on teams where they do more touchy-feely high fives and shoulder whacks or whatever they do, they tend to win more games. And with Alzheimer's disease, the research on touch shows that it can help with relaxation. It can help them make emotional connections, and it can reduce symptoms of depression. So all that in the power of our hands. We are capable, we are empowered, and with our oils and all the benefits that the oils have, we can bring even more support to ourselves and to our loved ones to have resiliency and wellness, even in difficult times like these, even when we're struggling with things like dementia, anxiety, depression, all those things, isolation, right? So I just wanted to touch on that, pun intended. And let's add the power of oils. So real life, the oils can make such a difference, and you don't have to know a ton. It's really simple and easy, taking one drop of oil in the hand and rubbing it together and breathing it in. We know that, right? I want to just share one story as I kind of share going from my touch averse to like this aha moment when I gave my friend this Aromatouch. Over the years after that, I wound up getting certified to teach it to other people. And so I've gone around Canada, the United States, Mexico, and South Africa, and actually taught dozens and dozens and dozens of people the Aromatouch technique. And I have seen so many beautiful benefits. And I'm going to get into that a little more. But along the way, before I actually learned to teach that technique to others and feel really confident in it, I was starting with the hand technique, where you're just putting a drop of oil in someone's hand and massaging it. So here's a really fun story. I was just getting going with all this stuff, and I was in a little vendor booth thing, and the person who was with me said, okay, you get to do the hand technique for people as they come up. But I was like, I don't know this technique. I don't know how to do this. I'm going to do it wrong. I felt awkward, right? Well, give me some time to grow. And I had experienced the benefit of the oils. Now, when my kids were very little, and this may seem rambly, but it will make sense. When my kids were little, I used to take them to a nursing home, especially my son. They loved my son. We went to see seniors who didn't get visitors. And no matter how out of it they were or scary they looked, my son just showed up with a whole love and giggles and was super cute. And they just loved him and gave him candy, which made him happy too. And as my kids got older, I wanted to keep going to nursing homes and making seniors happy, but I no longer had cute little kids to bring with me. So I was like, what can I do with the seniors to bring that love and connection? And I had learned this hand technique. I felt really awkward with it, but I'm like, the seniors, they have memory loss. I was working in the memory care unit. I'm like, they're not going to know if I'm doing it right or not. So I just went once a week, and I would go around and give any of the seniors who wanted it the hand technique. I would put a drop of oil in their hand, massage it in, and have them rub it together and breathe it in. And while we were there, we were knee to knee, we were eye to eye, and we had something to do, which made it a lot less awkward. And they would just talk, or we would sing, or we would just, whatever. And it was such a nice way to connect. It made my week, right? Now, I know right now we're not really able in most places to go to nursing homes and be with all the seniors, but we can do it within our own families. And I use the hand technique a lot with my daughter. And I also was thinking about a lot of the people who are isolated, where you're living alone and you're not supposed to interact necessarily with other people, especially if you have immune compromised issues and things like that. And I want to encourage you to give yourself some gentle love and touch. And if you know of other people who are also all alone, you can create a little bubble where it's just the two of you and you can trade off supporting one another with some loving touch. So get creative. And that's a big part of us being resilient, is finding new ways to connect and to connect physically too. So here we get to share some of these ways and go a little deeper. We're going to talk about 4 simple ways to combine touch and essential oils for ease, connection, and support. And I just love this picture. I wasn't going to talk about pets, but this picture was just everything to me. Our dog has been such a gift to us and to my son when he was really struggling. And our little pup, who was from the streets of Mexico, has issues. She's very high-strung and not so trusting. And when I do the Aromatouch or the Symphony of the Cells, or even just have oils out, she wants to be in the room. She smells the oils and just is like, oh, this is so good. And I'm sure if you ask Christine, you will find that you can do modified versions of Aromatouch and things like that for your dog. I'm not going to tell you how. I know that you have to dilute a whole lot, but just giving the oils to yourself, to your loved ones, your pets benefit too. I can attest to that one. Okay, so we're going to talk about these 4, and I just want to reiterate that the Aromatouch starts with the heart. If you come to whoever it is that you're with, even to yourself, with love and with inviting in all good things to flow to them through your hands, they'll feel it. It's just what I've experienced. So I want to pause my share for just a minute because I want to go to the hand technique. And actually, I'm going to keep sharing. Please, somebody tell me if I do it right. I want to share, not my Facebook. This bar gets in the way. Okay. I want to share on doTERRA's website, because I think sometimes we forget just how many resources they've created for us. And on doTERRA's website, if you go to Discover, if you're new to oils or even if you're not, and you go to Discover, over in this product education section, they have a section on Aromatouch. Hoping I got it, I think. Oh, wait. I don't think you guys are seeing that. It said it was, here we go. Okay, so here's doTERRA, here's Discover, and then we're gonna drop down, if my computer behaves, to Aromatouch. And in it, you'll see that doTERRA has a whole bunch of awesomeness to refresh us if we've learned this before. And if this is your first time, these resources are here for you, okay, learning about it. So I want to start with the hand technique, the one I shared in the nursing home, the one I do for my daughter when she's stressed out. Because let me tell you, 13, 14-year-old girls are like really all over the place sometimes, especially in crazy times like this. And I've applied for her just a little bit of Clary Calm, or her favorite oil, which is Passion, into her hand, and then done the technique where you just rub it across their hands, and then you do these different little movements. And look, they even show you each part. And if you click on it, at least in the other Aromatouch part, they'll show you exactly how to do it, what kind of pressure, and a short little video so you can make sure you're doing it right. So you can teach it to yourself and you can figure it out. But I'm just going to be honest with you. Even if all you do is put oil on the hand and rub it in and have them rub it together and breathe it in, and then do the other hand so they're balanced, you will see somebody whose whole demeanor changes. I want to share a story about a friend of mine. She is a caregiver. Her son has long-term issues, and she's my age. She looks about 30 years older because she's had so much stress in her life. And she, like me, was very, very touch averse. And I offered to do an Aromatouch for her, and she declined. She was like, that would just freak me out. So I was like, can I at least do the hand technique? So she sat in a chair, and she was very wary. She's like a little bird, you know. And I put a drop of oil in her hand, and I started to just rub it around and do the technique movements. And she just, first she started to melt, and then her eyes popped wide open, and she said, this is not at all what I expected. I was like, what did you expect? And she's like, I don't know, but this is so relaxing. And then she just melted into the chair and closed her eyes and let herself receive for probably the first time in 30 years. And that's the power of something as simple as just asking a friend, can I give you a hand massage? It may sound weird the first time you do it, but let me tell you, once you start getting known as the hand massage friend, like everybody's happy to spend time with you. I've literally gone over to a friend's house for a cup of tea and a hand massage. And I just love seeing the energy of the person change and the shoulders relax. So much good can happen from this. So they have some fun things, more information. And in here, I also wanted to just really point out, just part of being resilient is having resources, knowing where they are and knowing where you can learn. How to choose an oil. This is magic and fun. And if you are new to oils, or even if you've had oils for a long time and haven't really thought about like, well, which oil would be good for what, this is actually a really fun way to learn more about oils. They have these 2 downloads. This is an oil categories, right? So this is all the, not all, but some of the grounding oils and how they're calming. I honestly think cedarwood is soothing to the soul too, but you know. And these are all the different benefits for these different oils and blends. And then restful oils. So if you're looking to help someone calm down or get sleepy, some of them may be things you don't think of, like coriander or petitgrain. Uplifting, we have a lot of the citruses, of course, along with some mints. Clarifying, this one is particularly good if you're doing the hand technique to help someone focus, like if we're working with our kids, or maybe we're trying to do work and we're just struggling. These are great oils to pull out and bring in, so we have some more clarity of mind, some more alertness, and also that feeling of like, can do, right? I can do this. Really good ones. Clean and clear, to just release and clear and open. Restore and renew. So all these are available to you on doTERRA's website. Some for cooling and soothing. This is great for aches and pains. These are really good for all of that. And then shield and conserve. So these are the ones that are going to support our immune system, support our health and well-being during times where we might get kind of worn down. So again, this is under Aromatouch. And when you go to look at like oil categories, and then they have another one with some really fun blends if you have blends and would like to play with it. So let me go back to my little slideshow, back to my little person with her doggy. So let's talk a little more about the Aromatouch foot massage. So if you are by yourself, and even if you're not, in the morning when you get up and get dressed, take an oil, put it on your feet and massage it in 2 minutes, and you will feel very different. I do it almost every morning, and I feel like I'm not connected with myself or really altogether awake until I take my hands and I put them on my feet and I massage. And it's amazing all the different information and feels that my feet give me when I do that. So again, something that takes a minute. right? And you can do it for someone you love at nighttime, at bedtime, or after a long, stressful day on their feet. It's also a foot massage is really good for people who are ill and maybe they're in a bed or wheelchair and they can't get around so well and you can't get to their back to do the Aromatouch, the full Aromatouch technique. You can give them a foot massage and it will really do a lot of benefit there. So on to Aromatouch. That has become one of my favorite things to offer people. And as I shared towards the beginning with learning about the different oils that you use, we're going to get into that in a minute. Actually, let me just stay there then. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, we'll get to it. So, a couple of tips when we're working with topical oils as we jump in, whether it's the hand technique or when we're applying it on the back, as I'm doing in this picture here. There's more potential for skin sensitivity, and some oils are hot. For example, the cassia or cinnamon, like I would not put them directly on anybody's body. You would want to use carrier oil, and you can see it on the label if it tells you that it could be sensitive. And here is the carrier oil. For those of you who may be less familiar, you can use olive oil or any kind of massage oil that you might have around. It just helps to dilute it for the skin. And if you have any skin reaction, or the person you're giving the technique to has a reaction, you can just add that on and it'll just soothe it right up. I also wanted to point this out. When we are applying oils to someone we love, even to ourselves, one of the biggest questions people ask me is, how much do I use? And the answer is, it's going to vary depending on the person and the needs. But I want to be super clear. I know just a general tendency is like, if a little's good, a lot is better, right? In life. But when people are older, more frail, somebody who has a chronic or a serious illness or is on a lot of medication, pregnant women, little children, smaller bodies, or pets, you're going to use less oil. We were teaching the Aromatouch technique to a family whose son had a really serious life-threatening issue, and he was 7, so it wasn't very old. And we were like, how do we get less than 1 drop, right, of each oil? We know each oil is necessary and beneficial, so how could we do that? And we found that the little sample bottles, where you can get like the zipped up little keychain, that gives about 1/3 of a drop rather than a full drop. So we had the parents use those smaller bottles. You can also dilute in a roller bottle or in a regular bottle if you wanted to dilute it down for people who are more sensitive. But with people who are generally healthy, people like me who, process oils pretty well, you can use 3 drops or so of each oil as you go along in the technique. With little ones, 1 drop is awesome. And always start with less. You can always do more, okay? And I love that you guys are putting stuff in the comments. Can't exactly get my computer to go over so I can read them, but you guys can see them, and I will go back and look at questions after and comments. So this is a really fun picture for me because this is how I learned the Aromatouch and was able to remember it 1.5 years later. And this really goes to show, like, we deal with these 4 different things in our life all the time. Stress, toxins and things that, pests, viruses, etc., things that invade our body or that we're confronted with, like smelly things. Our body goes into an inflammatory state to fight off things, to manage a tweak or whatever. And then it throws us into imbalance, and then we wind up with more stress. We can get in this chronic cycle. And the Aromatouch technique was designed to address each of the 4 parts of this cycle so that the body can calm itself back down and do the work that the body brilliantly does for healing and coming back to a sense of balance. So the first two oils are good for the stress management piece, reducing stress. The second two are good for the immune support, to kind of give that system a little more just support. Reducing inflammation in the body so that the body can calm itself down and clear things out, and then returning to balance, this homeostasis. So we use these oils in this order to create the support to get to this state of resiliency. And these are the oils down here. This isn't an awesome picture, so here's a better one. Balance, and then lavender, to connect first with the beautiful balanced tree oils, and then lavender. And you see my hands kind of going like this because after a while, the first time I did the Aromatouch technique, I was exhausted. Everything in me ached. I was like, this is hard work. But really what it was that it was new and I was still learning, and I was holding a lot of tension because I was stressed about doing it wrong. So when I teach it, and what I want to encourage you when you try this out at home, is just relax. Just put the oils on, do the best you can. If you can allow your body to feel the relaxation, you can send that into the other person's body too, right? So it's not about doing it right, it's about doing it with love. And then that flows. So balance to connect, and then lavender goes on next to calm the whole physical and emotional system. And then you rub the ears too, which feels really good. I know Dominique said that was her favorite part, like because her whole body just relaxed with that. And then tea tree, melaleuca, and on guard to support the immune system. Makes sense. And then Aromatouch and deep blue to reduce that inflammation in the body. And then we have wild orange and peppermint, which the fun thing about these two is they are invigorating, uplifting, cheering, and they contain components that calm the body down, that release spasm, that oxygenate and expand. And that helps us come to that balance that we're looking for. Not that we're so sedated that we don't care about life and we're not functioning, but that we are calm enough that we're ready to deal with whatever's going to be thrown at us next. So, yeah, just went through that. Before I get to Symphony of the Cells, I'm going to stop my share again. If you, actually I won't stop the share. I'm going to go back over to doTERRA's site and back to that Aromatouch. I just want to point out for you guys, since doTERRA isn't, it's not sharing the right screen, that doTERRA is not, as far as I know, they're not, we're not allowed to teach the Aromatouch in a group right now because of COVID and all that. So you can learn the technique here. We already went over the oils. The movements, again, it's super cool because they have the little thing of it, and then if you click on each one, you can see which oils you do it with, and they show you a really good little video about how to do it. And then the best page, which I have friends who give me Aromatouches, I will not name them, but they actually still pull this cheat sheet out so that they remember which oil, which movements, and here's the little cheat sheet of the movements too. So then they don't forget anything as they go along, especially if they don't do it often. So I wanted to share a few stories about Aromatouch, just to get you guys thinking about ways that you can use it. And I know right now we're kind of constrained a little bit with who we're able to physically connect with, but not everybody's in that situation. And I want to share some stories. And then I'll open it up at the end to have you guys share some of your own stories. But this Aromatouch technique is so beautiful because you do not have to know what's wrong with a person. You don't have to know what their needs are. You can simply apply the oils and know that the combination is going to do what's necessary and what's beneficial for their body. So even if you're brand new to oils and you don't know all about them, you can just apply these oils on the back and know that the body is supported physically and emotionally. I want to share just that before I share some stories. Well, these are a little bit of the stories. Anyway, because it brings people into a state of what their body needs and allows it to begin that work. What I've seen is that different people will respond differently to the technique, and I respond differently to it different times that I receive it. So for example, one time my friend received it and she got up and she said, felt like champagne bubbles were in her. She was so energized. And another time, she was so relaxed after some back pain that had been really keeping her up that she just actually fell asleep on the table, and I let myself out and she slept there for a while. I've given the technique to new mamas who were exhausted from taking care of their babies, and it really helped them be able to relax more deeply so that they could be more resilient to show up for their newbies. I've given this technique to people who have just lost a loved one, to my teenage nieces who lost their dad. And in the experience of offering this to people who are grieving, what I've found is that, you don't have good words. And if you go visit them, then they feel like they need to entertain you or whatever, show up a certain way. And with the Aromatouch, they just face down, go to sleep. I'm giving you this, and then I'm going to leave. And it allows them to be with their emotions and with their feelings and with their body without having to convey any of that to you. And you're able to just offer the support of the oils to physically and emotionally support them. It's been just a beautiful gift that way. It's helped friends with digestive issues. And I have also seen the Aromatouch technique help someone have a healing catharsis. Now, catharsis is a word that means relieving repressed emotions. So I want to mention that because you may have a time where you or someone you give the technique to or share oils with loses it. Just starts sobbing hysterically, and that's okay. That's a good thing, because their body has gotten to a place where it's allowing itself to let go and release emotions that have been pent up. Ooh, look at that. Sorry, that's my alarm. Take the trash out. So anyway, that healing catharsis, if that happens to someone you're with, support them in just being present. You can have a hand on their shoulder while they're crying. You can gently talk to them about feeling their body, feeling their hands on their legs, their feet on the ground, taking deep breaths in, knowing that they're safe. And those are things that really can support someone in a healing catharsis. I did an Aromatouch for someone who had just not only lost her parent, but then threw a big gathering to celebrate her mom's life. And she had a lot of anxiety just as a person. And when I gave her the Aromatouch, she said afterwards that it was the first time in a very long time that she felt safe in her body. And a few days later, when I texted her to see how she was doing, she said she still felt that way, that it lasted more than a couple of days. So know that what you do when you put oils on someone and love them in this way is something that they take with them, and the oils continue their work once they're off the table. And once they're, back into whatever in their lives. Encourage people to drink water and to rest if their body's telling them to rest, and even take an Epsom salt bath if they're feeling kind of overwhelmed, to help the body clear out toxins. Speaking of clearing out things, one time when I did the technique, there was a woman, and you know how sometimes you get a cold And even though the cold's like long gone, there's still this residual, like a little bit of congestion and stuffiness. So this was a couple months after her cold, and after the technique, she felt a little woozy, a little lightheaded. She went into the bathroom and used the bathroom, drank some water, and then all of a sudden just had to blow her nose. And all this yucky stuff came out that had been in there for months and hadn't been able to get out. And the Aromatouch just really helped with that. So it can do a lot of good. We just have to offer it and do it for each other. So I wanted to share those things. And as I just shift, I know I've talked for a good long while. I do get tired of hearing myself talk. I want to share the Symphony of the Cells. It is a little different, and for the longest time, I mostly just did Aromatouch because I love the Aromatouch for so many good reasons. But Symphony of the Cells has its amazing place too. And one thing that's great about Symphony of the Cells, that's different than Aromatouch, is that Boyd Truman, as he created this, he created it and named it. I love the name, by the way, because it targets specific systems in our bodies. We're made up of cells that are made up and grouped in systems, and the systems work together. So that's where that whole symphony idea comes from. We have our limbic and our neurological system that's throughout our body. We have our musculoskeletal system that holds us together, our digestive system and respiratory system, and our emotional and energetic systems, right? So he created protocols similar to the Aromatouch in that you put it on the back and you put it on the feet and you allow the person to smell it as well because the aromatic benefit. It's a little, so one beautiful thing is you can get the protocols in a little book. I'm going to show that to you. And you can then be learning about oils that target and support these different systems. It's another neat way to learn about the oils you have. The other cool thing about it, so there's this body systems guide. The other nice thing is if you don't have the exact oils in a protocol, there's a whole list of substitute oils. So you don't have to have or use all of them. And I just want to share 2 ways that Symphony of the Cells has just shown its brilliance in my life recently. One, I taught my daughter how to do it. The Aromatouch is a little complicated with different movements and things, and although she could put it on my back, just, get it on there, I taught her Symphony of the Cells because literally she has to just put a few drops, rub it in, let me smell it, and then put it on my feet and then go to the next oil. And one day I had a headache all day long, and at the end of the day I was just like, Soph, I need you to just do a Symphony of the Cells on me. So she did, and within 5 minutes afterwards, sitting up, my shoulders were relaxed, the headache was gone, and I was like, why did I not ask for this first thing in the morning, right? Sometimes we live with pain and other things because we don't think to ask or we don't think to care for it. We just muscle through. So I want to encourage you to offer and to ask for these things. Secondly, my mother-in-law came to visit, and she had a real pretty bad back issue going on at the time, and we had a 3-day car trip to get her here because we were kind of avoiding airplanes. And she was going to be going back for physical therapy and maybe cortisone shots. And she was just wondering how she was going to make it through and enjoy time with the family. So I got the neurological because there was some nerve stuff going on, and also the musculoskeletal one. And each night before she went to bed, I did the Symphony of the Cells on her, and she slept well. She wasn't in nearly as much pain. She was able to move around without too much stiffness. And the last night she stayed with us, I did a Symphony of the Cells. She fell asleep. And when she left the next day, she took my Symphony of the Cells book with her. all the way to New Mexico. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'll buy you another one. And which she doesn't have to. But the reason why she took it was because it made such a difference for her. She wanted the protocols so she could do it for herself and for her husband, and get the oils. So it was a really beautiful way to support my mother-in-law and for her to learn how to more effectively use the oils to support herself. I'm going to stop my share again so you can see their site, because there's a lot of good resources at Symphony of the Cells. Share screen. Okay. So they have a Facebook group. Maybe they do online trainings. I don't know. But really, all I've needed to really successfully use this is the book, and I have the little like chart thing too. But the book is $12.99 or $12.95, and it's super useful. It has lots of protocols in it, as you can see there, and so much to learn. And just kind of to wrap that piece of it up with the Symphony of the Cells is, there was a day when I didn't know, or I didn't have the book with me, so I just grabbed oils that I thought would work, and I just layered them on my mother-in-law's back, and guess what? It worked. So I want to just remind you guys, keep it simple. We have these beautiful protocols that, you know, the movements of the Aromatouch can feel so beautiful and such flow with them. So they're worth learning, because when you know better, you can get more subtle benefits. But even if you just slather random oils on, mostly random, give a little thought to it, you're going to have benefit, and the person that you care about is going to benefit as well. So let me just look over my notes. Oh, I did want to share what a friend of mine, another friend who is touch averse, and I said, please let me give you an Aromatouch. And so she did. She said, I'm letting you do this because I trust you. I said, thank you for trusting me. And honestly, when you do this for people who aren't your immediate family, it is a gift of sacred trust that they're allowing themselves to be vulnerable and relaxing for you to do this for them. So I always come with a little bit of reverence there. And when we were done, she said, that was really neat. She said, that was kind of like Jesus washing the disciples' feet. And I thought, that was really kind of cool, because that's what I would want somebody to come away with, feeling that they were cared for the way Jesus cared for the disciples. So I have shared a lot of different things about the power of touch and about the Aromatouch. We do have some announcements, but before we go to that, I would love to just, let me see, make sure. Oh, here. I want to end with my picture here, and we'll go to the announcements in a bit, but I want to give you guys a chance to share. Maybe we'll take it off of recording and let you share, and then give the announcements. So you have the power in your hands, and add a drop of oil, let it work its magic for you and for the people around you, and be creative. And I would encourage you to just ask people if you can do it. I know this is a more challenging time because of, you know, social distancing and all that, but the power of touch is really important. Find ways to creatively and safely offer it and give it to yourself. So thank you for listening to me go on and on about a topic I'm so passionate about.